Okay. All right, y'all. Welcome to Guess Who Came to Dinner. I am your host, Wiz.
I'm KLT.
That's what's up. And so we are going to jump into this episode. We have a dope episode for you guys today. We are broadcasting live from Inside Lands, which means that we're both at our houses.
Staring at many faces via Zoom.
Yeah, and we're speaking via Zoom as well too. One of the things that we wanted to do is just first say, we know we've took a break from doing the pod. We wanted to let the world kind of process everything that's going on right now. And also we have a great show for you today. We not only are going to do a media banter, but we are going to also have the creator of the media we're going to talk about present with us today. And then we're going to also have a couple, James and Sandra. We're going to have a meal with them, some dope Malaysian food. Which also, Kim, if you want to explain who the chef of the Malaysian food is.
Miss Ali CHIA / Miss Samantha Tan, Malaysian cook located in Koreatown. Just delicious food. The food that we're going to be eating today is actually shown in the short film. So if you guys haven't seen it, you guys can get a taste of what's going on in the short by ordering from her home-based restaurant.
Yeah, thank you guys. So I want to make sure, can you guys hear us? Can everyone hear us okay? If you can hear us okay, drop some ones in the chat. Okay, that's what's up. All right, so cool. Let's jump into it. I'm going to introduce our first guest. So Samantha Tan is the writer, director, producer, and chef and star of the short film Ali CHIA. It's on Amazon Prime Video. The film was shot in one day with an all-female crew and is loosely inspired by her real life building Sam Tan's Kitchen, her Malaysian home catering business. So everyone, I want you guys to give it up for Sam Tan. Give it up.
Yes! Round of applause.
Thank you, everyone.
Hey, and also I want to throw in one more thing. Sam is also the first Malaysian in history to become a lifetime member of the Actor Studio.
Yay!
Yay! Thank you.
Amazing.
Cool. So
That's awesome.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So let's jump into it. Kim, you want to start us off with the questions?
Yeah. We wanted to touch base on what was the journey like on getting the film made. Were there any difficulties that you ran into?
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks guys for having me on. I'm really excited. This is great.
Yeah.
It's actually my first ever film. I've never written or directed before. And it really came about because I was so frustrated as an actress at not getting the auditions that I wanted, and the roles that I wanted. And cooking is my day job, as you know, and I was cooking so much that it kind of hit a point where one of my customers said to me, "You're more of a chef than an actress, aren't you?" And I was kind of like, "Oh, how dare you?" But I realized that I had to create something. I couldn't just wait for an opportunity to come along. So I've spent a lot of energy in the past trying to separate my cooking from my acting as if they're not both me, And so I eventually thought to myself, I'm just going to find a way to tell my truth. And initially I wrote something about an actress and it was kind of too predictable, like everybody in Hollywood does that. So I decided to write the other thing that I know, which is the chef part of me. So it's started as just a few scenes, and then eventually I just saved up money from my real life catering work to pay for it. That's how I funded it. And then I went on social media and asked a bunch of friends for recommendations of female crew, and eventually met people for coffee, kind of tried to figure out who I got along with and things like that. And we got together a group of 12 women in the end to shoot it together. So
wow.
So yeah, the difficulties were basically that it was created out of nothing. You know, it was just me wanting to tell the story, not having much money, not really knowing how to shoot anything. So I had to surround myself with talented crew. I had a really amazing DP, Filipino-American DP, named Suzanne Aguirre, very talented. And then I found an amazing editor named Yin Lui, who's also Asian American. And just the whole crew were very, very good at their jobs, which is the only way we managed to pull it off in one day.
That's cool. That's what's up.
Awesome.
So one of the things we wondered about the film, like what's the source of the narrative, right? Like how much of personal experience is this based on? Like in the film, you know, for those who don't know, it, you know, basically the kind of like byline or what it's about is, you know, a young Malaysian chef in an interracial relationship kind of struggles with some obstacles and also struggles with her relationship with her mom. Like, how much of that are you pulling from your real life? And what inspired you to make that part of the story?
Well, really, the film is my way of, I guess, dealing with my own struggles. I feel like I've lived in 3 countries throughout my life, and I've always felt neither here nor there. And I think a lot of immigrants do feel that way. Like, you know, I am Malaysian, but I also lived in England, and then I moved to the States, and there's a cultural conflict always, you know, that I feel like I'm struggling with to reconcile who I am now versus who I used to be when I was in Malaysia, you know? And so I wanted to tell the story of a girl who is trying to be both things to both people, you know, which is why the mom is a prominent character. I think my mom is on this call actually, which is really interesting because
Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom. She's in Malaysia.
What's up, Mom?
She hasn't seen the film, so but she knows.
Oh man, yeah. Mom, you're in for a treat. Be careful. Might need some blinders.
Yeah, because it's only available on Amazon in the States and in England, so Malaysia doesn't get it. Anyway, hi, Mom. So, you know, I really wanted to explore the cultural conflict that I'm going through myself in my real life. And I just think that interracial love should not even be taboo anymore, but for some reason it still is. And most Hollywood films don't explore it. And if they do explore it, typically one party is white, you know, and I'm like, why? You know, why does everything have to center that way? And also, honestly, especially, you know, with everything happening now, anti-Black racism is really, really rife in the Asian community, you know, and that's something I actively want to work against, you know, and so for all those reasons, that's why the interracial romance is in there, because I think it does kind of up the conflict that she's facing between her and her past, I guess.
So was it filmed based on personal experience?
Not directly. The personal experience parts of the story are definitely conversations with my mom. Since my mom hasn't seen it, it's probably a little confusing.
How do you think she would react if she saw it?
I don't know. Now I'm really curious. I think that, you know, like, well, she knows there's a love scene in there, like, where she just doesn't know what.
Love scene? Okay.
A love scene. It's a love scene,
yeah.
You know. I don't want to be there when she's watching the love scene. But I hopefully she'll be able to see that, you know, the mom character is sort of a love letter to her, really, you know. The actress that played the mom is in Malaysia. She's a voice actress that I found through a friend. And we actually recorded all her audio kind of like this. I was on Skype with her, directing her, and I asked her to record a voice memo on her phone. And really 95% of the stuff she says is inspired by real life. It's stuff that, you know, my real mom has actually said.
For sure. Yeah, I think, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Kim.
I was gonna say, like, I feel like Asian parents are so blunt, like that's their love language, you know, their honesty is what translates to love for them. And for me, you know, I don't see love that way. I'm just like, that's just criticism that hurts me more than is constructive. But they see it as like, I'm being truthful, so take it and run with it.
It's a cultural thing, you know.
Yeah.
It just is. It's just brutal honesty, and it's never malicious. It's not intended to hurt you, you know. And so it's just truth. And funnily enough, a lot of non-Asian people who have watched the film have sort of reached out to me and said, oh my God, like my mom's exactly like that. You know, I've had like Jewish friends who have said that, Eastern European friends. It's kind of universal, I think, like this complicated relationship between mother and daughter, or any child and any parent.
Yeah, I wanted to say, like, you know, it's funny you mentioned like, oh, you know, your mom's in, you know, in the chat, and you know, it'd be interesting for her to see it, because yeah, this, one of the things about this film is it does include a love scene, or a sex scene, I should say. And the thing that struck me about it is it was very balanced, right? Like, basically, it's not just the man, you know, getting off. It's not just the woman getting off. It's like it shows like a real couple basically experiencing that.
I'm glad you say that.
Yeah, because I wanted to ask you if that was intentional.
Absolutely, you know, like, 100% intentional. I think that, well, first of all, you rarely see interracial sex on screen, you know, and when you do see love scenes, typically it's always the guy who's kind of like showing up, you know, they go at it, and then when he's done, everyone's done and it's over. And I've never related. I'm always like, what about her? You know, what about her? And honestly, I think, you know, that feeds into misogyny too, or that feeds into real life, where people forget that you need to take care of the lady, you know? And so I definitely intended for that scene to focus on Ali's pleasure more than his, really. And also for it to show what kind of character he was. You know, he's the kind of guy that puts her pleasure first, and it matters to him, you know, to please her. And it is a slightly long scene, but women take a while, you know. That's just how it is. So it was 100% intentional. And I wanted to show two characters of color who are, you know, it's consensual, they love each other, they know what they want. And with Asian women and how we're usually portrayed too, you know, I mean, it's way better now, I think. But I don't know, I'm just tired of geishas, and I'm tired of like, you're a victim or you're submissive or whatever. No, I want to portray like a full sexual being. But she's Asian. So what, you know? Yeah.
Right. That was really dope. I mean, that's what struck me right away. Kim, you were to ask a question?
Well, mine is a spoiler alert. This is more of a comment. Like, it really resonated with me towards the end when Lakeith, he left his phone on silent, and you told him countless times, put your phone on so when I call you, you pick up. That's something that has happened to me with my past relationships, where like, you know, I ask you this because XYZ, which is a valid reason. Like, if there's an emergency, you will pick up, you'll see it, you'll whatever. He doesn't listen. Oh my God, that drove me insane. I'm like, if you would have picked up, we could have made it. I could have had my gig. I could have had my money. You wouldn't have to pick up extra shifts. You wouldn't have to sell your little guitar. But how, here we are on the fucking floor, nasty ass Koreatown parking lot, crying.
I love it.
No, it's real. It's real. Kim did have that reaction. We talked about the film after we both saw it, and that was her reaction.
I have to confess that I'm the one that leaves my phone on silent.
No!
I know. I try not to anymore. Now at least it's on a loud vibrate. But
okay.
And, you know, really, actually, you know, it's interesting how that scene came about. So as I mentioned, you know, I funded it with my own catering savings. So I had a limit to what I could spend, right? And I found the crew I needed, and I wanted to pay everyone at least like a day rate, you know, because like people always ask people for favors, and then it just wasn't fair because everyone's really good at their job, and I didn't want anyone to flake, you know. So I had the money to afford one day, and which is why it was shot in one day. But the original script had her leave. The original script, Ali gets in the car, she goes and like delivers the food, and then her car gets towed, and then there's like a homeless guy, and then there's like a cat call. There was like all this other crap happening, which I thought was so smart. I was like, ooh, I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna comment on like, you know, what women face when they get catcalled, and it was just all over the place. And then my DP, Suzanne, was the one that sort of like looked at it, and she helped me break down the scene, and she was like, okay, this will take 2.5 days. And I was like, oh, uh-oh, you know, like, well, I can, you know, like either we cut the crew in half, or I have to like save up again for another year or something, or I just have to rewrite it. So it came about because of that, because I had a budget limitation, and I had to kind of figure out how to keep Ali in one location. Because I didn't know that, you know, when you write a scene on the road with like a car being towed, like what that meant in production terms, that you have to move the whole crew, and then you have to like get a permit, and if you don't get a permit, you might not be able to shoot and all that stuff. Didn't even think about it, because I really like, I'm a beginner, you know. So so I had to figure out how to keep her from leaving the building, and it didn't make sense to me that she would stay in the apartment because they were arguing, you know. And so I was like, well, maybe she leaves the apartment but ends up in the garage. And then I was like, well, why would she stay in the garage though? You know? And I was like, oh, well, maybe she leaves her keys, you know? And then I was like,
keys.
yeah. And then I was like, but Lakeith's upstairs, why wouldn't he just come let her in? And so then I spent a while like thinking like, why? And then I was like, oh, because he doesn't hear his phone.
Because he don't listen. Not listen.
I was like, why wouldn't I answer? You know, and I was like, okay. So I'm so glad that I didn't have more money than I did, you know, because the limitation of that forced me to be more creative, to focus on the two of them and not the cat caller and the homeless man and the whatever, you know,
right,
and to
right.
really like tie the story together. And then it also let me have a reason to bring mommy back into the picture with like the texting at the end. And one of my good writer friends was very helpful too. Like she gave me notes on some of my scripts, and she was like, well, a short film should really be about one thing, not, you know, 6 things. So if you're going to have the Keith and mom at the beginning, you should have them at the end. And so having her note in the back of my head, knowing I couldn't shoot beyond 1 day, all of that was why the script became what it was, which honestly is just so much better than a cat collar, car being towed type thing. Yeah.
I mean, I was happy it ended that way, or it came to that, you know, for momentary conclusion, because, you know, I mean, to his credit, you know, I know Kim was mad at him, but I at least felt good that he showed up and was like, hey, we gonna be all right. Like, you know, I know that this feels like it's the end, but honestly, like, I'm gonna step up and do whatever I can to make sure that.
Yeah, and it's so funny how the jury is really split on Lakeith. You know, I have a lot of people who reacted exactly like Kim did, like, what an asshole, like, you know, like, dump him, like, oh, you can do better. And then a lot of other people were like, oh, you know, so sweet, like he offered to make her ramen, you know, and or like people who were like, well, obviously their chemistry was great, you know, like there's something there, but it was a misunderstanding. And really that was the whole goal in making the short film. Like my bigger idea is a TV series, and the short film was made as a proof of concept for a bigger idea. So the whole point was to show you a little bit of who these people are, and hopefully you go, oh, I want to know more. I want to follow their journey. I want to see if they stay together. I want to know if he really does step up and all of that.
Yeah, does he sell the guitar? Because then what is he going to do with no guitar? Now, can he perform now? Does he play something else? What's the next step?
And for me, you know, my comment, Sam, is, you know, I liked how you basically really made the fact that they were in an interracial relationship a part of the narrative of the short film, right? And there were parts that I was rooting for you, because I, you know, again, you know, working in entertainment, you know what it's about, when even if you're the person who is doing the crafts, right? Because you know, again, spoiler alert, she's making a meal to take to a set, and that's such a big part of when you're shooting a film or working on a project or a production. The food is super important, because oftentimes people are working for free, and that's like all that they're gonna have, right? And then you as an entrepreneur, you want your business to go well. And so I was rooting for that character, but also I can relate to him because I've been in situations before where it's like, you might be in an interracial relationship and your partner may be struggling with their parent, whether or not they're actually having an argument about it with their parent or they're keeping it a secret, right? And why is it a secret, right? There is a part of it where he's trying to process that as well too, right?
Yeah, right.
And you guys get into, there's a little bit of it where you get into that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like, he can't, I mean, it's completely relatable that he's hurt by her not even mentioning him, to her family, like he's some kind of, dirty secret. And after the film, I actually, like 3 different Asian friends of mine, friends of friends, came and were like, so I actually have a secret Black boyfriend I haven't told my mom about. I was like, oh, okay. And so, and anyone who is an Asian child knows immediately why you keep it secret. It's just unfortunate. It's just so, it's fucked up. But I absolutely want to explore that. I want to explore how he feels about her dynamic with her mother. And in my head, she must have met his mom a billion times and they probably get along great, and there's just so much complication there to explore. So yeah, it's baked into the story for sure. It's not going to be like a incidental thing,
Yeah, and in these modern times, Kim and I, we talk about this. In these modern times where people date, there's non-committal, ethically non-monogamous, all this stuff. Like some people actually don't have to get into it, right? Like they don't have to tell their parents, they can just date. We have our own shorthand for what we call those people, right? Because there's some people who have to hide it. There's some people who don't. And it's not, honestly, it's not always the Asian person. You know what I'm saying? Some whatever your race, if you're in an interracial relationship and for whatever political or personal reason, some people do hide it, right? It shouldn't be something that's taboo. And I commend you for making a narrative that actually exposes that so people are forced to actually talk about it.
Thank you. I mean, we gotta talk about it. We gotta and hopefully this leads to a bigger TV series at some point so I can really dig in there. Because I do feel like it's obviously a short film about Allie. Lakeith appears briefly, and there's a lot more to his character that I want to explore too.
I just want to switch gears really quickly. Were there any significance in the choice of dishes you chose for the film?
Yes, they're all Malaysian dishes. They're all my actual Sam Tan's Kitchen dishes. I cooked all the food for real, and the crew ate it for lunch. Also because I couldn't afford.
Did they eat the ones that fell into the ground after you guys were? Okay, all right. That was my first question. I was like, did they consume that? Okay.
Although actually my AD is on this call too. Lulu is here. And before we shot that scene, Lulu was like, that rice looks so good. And I was like, oh, it's not seasoned. Like, because it really wasn't seasoned. Because I knew it was going to, end up in the garbage. But sorry, spoiler alert, everybody. Something happens to the rice.
Nasty.
Yeah. It's pretty nasty. But no, I wanted to feature Malaysian food because that, again, I'm a huge foodie. I'm a chef myself. Malaysian food is so underrepresented in LA, weirdly enough. We have so many other kinds of Asian cuisine here. That's amazing. But for some reason, there's Japanese, Korean, Chinese, Indonesian, Filipino, everything other than Malaysian is represented in LA. And so I guess that's good for me because people come to me to cater. But in terms of films that talk about food and use food as a part of the narrative, usually it's set in a restaurant. Usually it's a white guy. Usually he has a Michelin star or something that he loses, and then he has to go redeem himself and rebuild his restaurant, blah, 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 yawn, And so the food in films is almost always a Western leaning type food. It's European cuisine, it's fine dining, whatever. And I just really, it's what I know and it's what I love. I wanted to show you delicious, grubby street food, messy. I wanted you to hear the sizzle of the wok. I wanted you to like smell everything, even though obviously you can't, you know, and so the whole food porn at the beginning was absolutely intentional. The dishes were chosen for how they looked on camera. And I have this other side career, really random, as a hand model. Like that's the other way I pay my bills.
Okay.
And so I've done a lot of commercials with food because I'm a chef and I can hold a knife and I can like chop stuff. And typically chefs have ugly hands, or hand models don't want to touch a knife because it's like, you know, dangerous. So I found a niche there doing these commercials around food. And so I've learned how to shoot food in an alluring way. So yeah, so the whole food porn at the beginning, absolutely. The dishes were chosen to represent my heritage, my background, my favorite foods. They're all Malaysian street food dishes.
Do you have a favorite Malaysian food?
Yes. Well, there's so many that I love, but my favorite food is Hainan chicken rice. That is my favorite.
Oh, yum. With the different sauces?
Yeah. So I make that too. Poached chicken in a like ginger spring onion broth. And then you cook the rice in like the rich chicken, like broth and fat and all of that. And then I make the garlic chili sauce, and I make the ginger scallion sauce too. And then there's like a soy sesame drizzle, all of that. Oh.
Okay, that's going to be on my next order.
Yes.
So we have a question for another food related question for you. I feel like we talk about this, like we've actually talked about this before, Kim. So we wanted to ask you, Sam, like how important is it for you that your partner like the cuisine of your culture, right? Like, have you ever been in a position where like your partner disliked like the specific ethnic cuisine that comes from your culture, or vice versa, or you didn't like theirs, and was that like a deal breaker?
I could not imagine having a partner who doesn't like to, well, first of all, who doesn't like food, or doesn't like what I like to eat, because where would we go? You know, I mean, that's my immediate thought.
Okay.
Yeah, no, food is really important to me.
So wait. So wait a minute. Are there any foods that you dislike?
I don't do marzipan.
Okay, all right.
Like,
so that's a very specific thing. Okay.
It's very specific. It's the artificial almond flavoring that I don't like. So like some like lower quality like almond pastries and stuff have that fake extract taste. I hate that. I can't really think.
So it's a deal. So it'd be a deal breaker for you.
If somebody gave you a dish with it, you'd be like, that's the best you got? Like you would.
You mean like if a guy like.
Yeah, it's his best dish. And he's like, here, babe, I made you this.
Here's your plate of marzipan.
Yeah, well, like add it to like as an ingredient, you know, whatever it may be. And it's just not.
The guy doesn't have to cook really well. Like, you know, I'm not going to be.
I got that covered.
Yeah, like I don't have to date a chef, like necessarily, but you gotta like food and have some kind of taste for food. Okay. You know, you can't just be like, I'm happy with sandwiches every day. I'll be like, oh my God, no. Yeah, no, food is a deal breaker. Yeah, if it's a yes or no question, yes, it's a deal breaker.
Food is a deal breaker.
Yeah, I went on this Tinder date with this dude, and it was horrible because he basically said pho was not good. And I was like, no, check. Yeah, so that like was probably where the conversation.
As a category, pho was not good. Oh my God.
Kim, how tall was he?
He was tall, actually. So I have like a height requirement to ride this ride, but yeah, just everything else was not. I'm sorry if he's tuning in right now. Hello.
How dare you not like pho, whoever you are. Oh my God.
Yeah, but I get it.
Anyway.
Same here.
So do you have any other questions, Kim? Because I know I wanted to ask about, I saw that, you know, there was on your social media, there was a picture of a pilot script. You mentioned it briefly, but can you talk about, you know, your hopes for the project? You know, what you said it was a proof of concept, but like, what are you hoping to have happen with CHIA?
I'm hoping that HBO calls me right after the Zoom call, you know? No, I made it as a proof of concept, and actually it did work as a proof of concept. It actually led to me getting representation, literary representation as a writer and director, which is awesome.
Congrats.
Thank
Ones in the chat,
you.
drop
Thank
ones in the
you.
chat for that.
Yay, you know, thank you. That, yeah, so that's exciting. And yeah, I've written a pilot that is a half hour. You know, the plan was, before the world entirely flipped on its head, you know, the plan was to try to like pitch people and try to sell the idea and things like that. So it's on pause at the moment because things are nuts. But we will be revisiting that soon. So the goal is hopefully to get that idea sold or picked up by somebody. You know, I'm very new at this. As I told you, it's my first film, first time writing and directing. So I do need like to pair up with people who are more experienced. So the hunt is on. So if anybody out there knows, you know, of like very experienced showrunners or producers or whatever who want to be like, oh, we'll help you turn this into a hit TV series that wins all the Emmys, call me. Yeah.
Y'all heard it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Thank you so much for, you know, taking time to chat with us today. We're going to actually jump into the couple, but we're going to have Sam back in at the end to kind of talk to us about what we're eating and stuff.
Awesome.
So,
Yeah, she's actually going to come a little bit sooner than later. Actually, we're going to, even though we're going to introduce the couple, we are going to also talk, you know, get into the meal as well too. But everybody, please drop some ones in the chat for Sam.
Thank you, guys.
Thank y'all.
yeah.
And then also we're going to drop the link to the film, which is again on Amazon Prime. So if you guys want to check it out, please make sure you go ahead and watch. For those of you who actually have,
stream it.
Yeah, stream it. Here you guys go. I'm going to drop it right here for everyone. And while I do that,
18 minutes. Get ready for some
if you have
action.
children. If you have children, I mean, you know, we obviously talked about it. This film is not for kids. Please, if you have children, like hide them or something. Like,
tell them to come back in 18 minutes.
It contains adult content, sexual situations, and nudity. So definitely have that in mind.
Yes. Sorry, Mom.
All right, and that's saying my mom is actually on here too. So
oh my God! Hi,
hi, Miss Bonita.
Yeah, Mom, you can't watch that as well. But anyway, let's do it. It's dinner time. It's time to eat. So Kim, can you introduce the couple?
Yes. So we have a couple of 6 years from Koreatown, James and Sandra. Welcome.
Hi, what's up?
Yay. How you guys doing today?
We're doing good.
Thank you so much for having us on.
Are you guys hungry?
Of course.
I am starving.
We've been staring at the food in front of us the whole interview and just like, just smell it. It smells so good.
All right, right on. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for being so patient as well. Cool. So we're going to go ahead and jump off into this couple interview, but we want to first talk about what we're going to be eating, you know, while we have this interview. So as for those of you guys who are tuning in for the first time or hadn't heard our episode that we have up now, like we typically eat with the couple that is the subject of the episode. And today we actually have Samantha's Kitchen, which is our previous guest, her home chef business. So what we're going to do is we're going to have Samantha actually take us through what we're going to be eating right now. So I'm going to grab my plate and show it to everyone.
Oh yeah, he made it real nice because I'm still eating out of the box.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, so Sam, if you want, can you just go ahead and can you tell everyone what we have?
Yes, so, oh, hang on. I've lost you. Where are you?
All right, so, yeah, go ahead. You can go through it.
So, on the bottom of the plate, which I don't know if you can see, he's kind of pointing. You have to like
back up
lift,
a little bit.
Like
here?
Up.
No, back up the plate.
Back up the plate because we can't see the bottom.
Okay.
Yeah. There we go. So the little noodles right at the bottom. That's a dish called char kway teow, which is a Malaysian stir-fried, wok-fried flat rice noodle dish. So I like to say it's like pad see ew, but way better. So it comes with shrimp, Good job poking it as I said shrimp. I'm like, wow, how did you know I was going to say shrimp? It comes with shrimp. It comes with Chinese sausage, which I think your portion doesn't have Chinese sausage, right?
Yeah, because I don't eat pork, but it's all good. It looked good.
Right.
Oh, here, I'll grab it. Oops.
Ta-da! So Chinese sausage, shrimp, and fish cake, and also bean sprouts, Chinese chives, and all of that is stir-fried over super hot fish cake. There you go. Stir-fried over a super hot, fiery wok, smoky wok. So that's char kway teow. It's a classic Malaysian street food dish. And then on the thing you're pointing at now, that's a vegan coconut curry made with coconut milk. And I like to chuck a bunch of different colored vegetables in there. So beans, carrots, potatoes, eggplant, there's kaffir lime leaf in there. There's a whole bunch of stuff. So I make the paste myself and then cook it down. And on the back is what you eat with the curry. And that's a Malaysian coconut lace crepe called roti jala, which roti means bread and jala means net. So it's like net bread. So yeah, it's a crepe that's looks like a net, and then you roll it up and you use it to mop up all the curry. So that's what they're
Y'all,
eating
I'm
today.
disgusting. Sorry, my hand.
Yeah.
Honestly, I was like, how did you make this? It's so pretty.
There's like a special squeezy bottle with like nozzles that you like. Yeah.
Fancy.
So you don't have to unroll them. You just take the whole roll.
I was trying to let the people see what it looked like, the texture.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have char kway teow, roti jala, and vegan coconut curry tonight. Right, and dessert later.
Oh yeah, I got it on deck right here, but it's still a container.
Okay.
We'll come back to the dessert. Let's let's start. Let's get to it.
Oh yay!
All right, so James and Sandra, I hope you guys got your food ready. I know you said you were hungry.
Yeah.
I am ready.
So let's start with the first question. Like, how did you guys meet?
Got some hot sauce too. If you all have it on deck.
Yes.
I'm running out, but it's fine.
I should have given you some sambal, which is the Malaysian.
Oh, some homemade?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh man, that would be fire.
Next time.
It's all good.
Okay, go ahead.
This is so delicious, Sam.
Yay!
Did James went to go get the hot sauce?
Yeah, he went to get the hot sauce. He's right here. So we met in college. We happened to have the same jazz history class together. You're in a not sorority, a fraternity.
Yes.
And we kind of ran into each other at a party, and he was just like, "Hey, don't I know you from jazz class?" And I was just like, trying to play it cool, like I never noticed him in class. And yeah, we just kind of hit it off from there and hung out the whole party and been inseparable ever since.
So James, when you went up to her to say hi, like, did you go up to her with the intent of trying to pick her up?
Oh hell yeah! Look at her, of course. But you got to be kind of strategic with this. You can't just like be like too like, hey, what's up? Like, just like try to holler like straight up. I played a little bit of the long game. I definitely knew at the party she noticed me because like, the thing about college, there's no like assigned seatings. So I'll show up like a little early, and then like I know where she usually sits. So it's like I try to place myself like, in front of her or like around her somewhere, and like, but I definitely knew I had the she was caught on my bait as soon as I saw her at the party though.
Your bait, huh?
Have you guys dated outside your race before?
I have not. Growing up in Koreatown, I grew up with a lot of Korean people. So yeah, I mean that's who I was around with. And then yeah, I've met and like talked to a couple like non-Koreans, but it didn't really go anywhere.
Okay.
She's actually the first girl that I've made past like a couple months. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. So you feel? What about you, Sandra? Had you dated outside your race before?
Yeah, dated. I dated a Brazilian guy before and a Salvadorian guy. Just dating like couple dates or so, never anything serious, like a serious relationship. So James is my first like real relationship, you know, outside of my race.
And just for the audience, how long have you guys been together again?
6 years.
Okay, so y'all going to length. Like, it's not just months. So you guys have been together for more than half a decade. So.
Can you guys also share how you culturally or ethnically identify as?
I'm Korean.
And I identify as Black.
Okay, cool.
Thank you. Was what was the first impression of each other? Did you guys have any, I guess, any idea of how each other would be based on race when you guys met each other, as far as like first impressions or anything?
I feel like I didn't.
Well, I didn't know it was gonna last this long. I didn't know that. Yeah.
Is this your guys' longest relationship?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I was going in, you know, I was really like, okay, she's cool. Like, you know, let's see where this like college thing like takes us. And, you know, I just had like a really open mind. And then, yeah, that just kind of led to, you know, us here now.
Yeah. But I will say, like, a notion I had based on race, it wasn't really based off of race. I just kind of thought that, you know, I didn't really know his culture at first. There was a lot of things that we actually couldn't do. Like, for instance, I would say, you know, let's spend a night at my place. And then he's like, I can't, like, I've got to go home. And it's just like, what do you mean you got to go home? Like, you're 22, you're 23 years old. What do you mean you just got to go home? Mm-hmm. So, like, things like that kind of played a huge part in the beginning of our relationship.
Yeah.
Okay.
I gotta say, like the whole meeting parents thing, like when I saw that in the movie, like it's definitely like one of those things to discuss. Cause yeah, I think 6 months into a relationship, like I went up to Fresno, met her parents and everything, and I think it was like year 3, like closer to 4, that like, you know, she got to meet my mom and like have that whole discussion.
Talk about that. Like, how did you guys feel about that? Like, how was that hard for you guys? Did you have struggles with it?
Yeah, and also like, what was how was your parents' reaction to it too, or did like, you know, did they have a reaction?
Well, let me speak for my parents. My parents, they really loved James, like from the beginning. They were accepting of him. There was no sort of, you know, but you know, he's Korean and da-da-da. Like, they were fine with it. And
yeah.
And as far as your mom.
Yeah. Yeah, like, so my dad isn't around, but so my mom is like the parent that I like go to and stuff. And yeah, I mean, it took 3 years for me to like, I don't know what it is, like have the audacity or like have the courage to like introduce you know, Sandra to my mom and like I'll tell her that this is something serious. And yeah, and a lot of it, you know, probably was because like I wasn't serious about the relationship. Like, you know, I kind of thought it was a fling or whatever, but then also it had to do with a lot of like how I thought my mom was gonna react, and I don't know, it was very typical Asian, you know, and yeah, it's just like you don't bring home a girl that you've been dating, you know, for a little bit. Like that's not, you know, I don't think it's part of like our culture to introduce someone you just like started dating. It's only when it's like serious enough that like you can bring around the girl.
So you said it.
I thought that was bullshit when you told me that the first time. I was just like, oh, whatever. Like, you just don't want to introduce me to your mom. Da da da.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Look at Sam smiling. Like, yeah, she knows it. She's like, no, yeah.
So wait. So did you push back on that, Sandra?
Oh, all the time. I pushed back on a lot of things because I wasn't familiar with Asian culture, let alone Korean culture, and how his family operated. So just out of pure, ignorance, he would tell me certain things like, oh, I can't spend a night at your place, or, you can't meet my mom right now because, we're only, we're not, that serious, or type of things. So I was just like, for me, I just thought it was, game or bullshit, and I really didn't believe him at first. Until shout out to his friends Richard and Charlie and Mateo. They kind of explained, how things kind of work in Asian culture, and I was like, okay, if I have other people telling me, the same thing that James did, I think I believe him now.
Got it. Okay.
Are y'all at a place now where you're comfortable to discuss with your partner about like racial issues that come up versus back then, or has it always kind of been easy flowing?
I would say it's always been easy flowing. James has always been someone I could talk to about any sort of race topic in the Black community. There's never been any I guess kickback from him or kind of misunderstanding. He's always been trying to figure out what's happening on, my side of things. And yeah, I really commend him for that.
What about right now? Go ahead, James. What are you gonna say?
No, I just want to say the same thing about her. It's Korean culture is definitely not one of those very open-minded and we're a very homogenous society, and yeah, she's been learning the culture pretty well. And I mean, she's even learning Korean. We've been practicing and stuff, and
Okay.
it's been amazing. Yeah.
So what about right now, the climate, there's a lot of, because of, what's going on in the world right now. I feel like, the world is having an open discussion about race, anti-Blackness, Black Lives Matter, all of these things. Are you guys having to process that right now for yourselves? You guys having discussions? How are you guys dealing with that, either with each other or with your, extended community?
Actually, I want to mention one thing that came up recently, and it kind of goes back to Insecure, that episode where Molly and Andrew go on to the trip and they're in the pool, and then there was this one instance where she comes back from the towel incident and getting racially profiled, and the wife, the Asian wife, she goes, "Oh no, that probably just happened because you're so pretty," and it kind of it kind of represents it would represent Asians kind of thinking oh, it's whatevers, and it's in our culture to be more just duck your head and just let it go and move on and kind of brush it over. But yeah, she's.
Well.
Yeah, it's just me catching myself doing that. It's no, when a Black person tells you hey, someone just racially profiled me and called me names or whatever, and it kind of opened up my eyes, dude, they're not saying bullshit, or you can't just tell them oh, don't worry about it. It's a thing they have to worry about all the time. And then another thing, one morning, the whole thing after George Floyd, when that was happening, she in the morning she was just crying, and I was like, what the hell is going on? And she was explaining to me there isn't a time and place where Black people can express themselves about the racial inequalities, and it's never a good time. And this one when things like this happen, it's the time to talk about it. So like she, I guess like had a moment of where like she can feel freely to express all these things. And yeah, and just I just reassured her like, you know, for us, we are together as a team, and like it doesn't have to be a George Floyd incident for you to like express yourself, but you know, anytime you want to come to me, like we can talk about these things, and you know, like yeah, like there's when we go out to places in Koreatown, especially in Korean places, like you know, the waiters, everybody is kind of like looking at us, not just like the waiters, but like even the the customers, they're like, what the hell? Like there's a black person in here, you know? And like I like to go to Korean bars and stuff. You know, soju's kind of my favorite thing. Um, but yeah, like we're discussing it like constantly, and
every day.
yeah, and hopefully like you know the people come around, you know.
What about you, Sandra? What do you feel, or what's your experience with all of that?
With the climate of today, or
Yeah. Or just how do you feel about it as being a part of the couple as well too?
for me, it's, you know, like James said, it's been very emotional ride for me, like with this past climate, a lot of crying, a lot of anger. But you know, it's been great to be able to talk to him about everything I'm feeling, whether
Mm-hmm.
it's happy or sad or just whatever. And you know, he's down, like he's an ally. I've protested 3 times so far. He's protested 4, and so like he said, like we're a team. So whatever issues I'm having, you know, with especially with this climate and the protest and the police brutality and racism, you know, he's always there to listen. Um, but yeah, it's been tough. It's been tough to say the least.
Just to piggyback off that, when you guys attend these protests, you know, everyone's covered up and everything. And I know when you're there, you want to be in the moment of the movement. But, you know, when it's hot, you take off your mask and, you know, they see your face more clearly. Do you guys get like different stares from the people there of like you two being together, or like how has it been, I guess, in public with each other? I know you kind of express in Korean bars and seeing the waiters and customers' reaction, but like just walking down the street, what has that experience been like for you guys?
As a Black person, you know, during the protest, we don't really like to take off our mask. And when we do protest, I wear masks and sunglasses. Black people with this thing, with these protests, there's been a lot of people who protest and, you know, their faces are shown. They may show up murdered the next year, later in the year, fired from their jobs, you know, for fighting for something that they believe in. So during protests, I barely take off my mask or my sunglasses. I think someone took a picture of us while we were sitting down, kind of catching our breath. Someone took a picture. I'm not sure if that had anything to do with us just being honest.
I don't think so. They took a picture of our signs and stuff.
Yeah.
But like, if you're asking like, are they like looking at us because of the Asian and Black dynamic? I don't know. I guess I didn't really notice. Talking to friends and like, you know, shouting and stuff. It's not really staring going on. It's just, yeah. I think the protests have been cool. Like,
Yeah.
Protests have been cool. I will say, you know, going off of what James said and, you know, what Kim said about being in K-Town. K-Town has been a little bit different. When we do go to some places, we get, you know, those looks, not so much like, you know, endearing looks, but more just like, you shouldn't be here type of looks. We've gone to places and have gotten very rude customer service. We've heard people talk about us in Korean, thinking James did not understand Korean.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a lot. But then, you know, on the other flip side of that, there's been a lot of cool people here in Koreatown. Like a lot of people who are helpful to me if I'm going to the Korean market to help me, you know, find something I need, and just people being really nice on the flip side of that.
That's good to hear. Yeah, I've been to a few protests and it's always been peaceful. I love seeing how unified it is, how unifying it is, you know, different walks of life, different, just everything that you could think of under the moon. And, you know, it's actually very emotional. My first protest, I cried. I couldn't even like fully like grasp what was happening. Oh, I might get teary-eyed right now. Like, whew, okay, like saying his name is what makes it real. Why am I about to cry? Okay, so, you know, you see these names on social media, you do all these things, you share on Instagram, whatever else, but when you're there and you see everyone with signs and his name, and it's like, you know, I grew up with the Black and brown community growing up, and it's like, you would hate to see someone's name you know, like you personally know, and like that's just something like Ahmaud Arbery, you know, there's so many people I grew up that are athletes and whatever else, running in the neighborhood, normal stuff, and the man got shot, killed, you know. My trainer is on here right now, Sean, and it's like I would have hated to like witness his name, you know, and just things of that sort. And I'm sorry for crying, y'all.
No, it's all good, Kim. It's all good. You know, it's okay. It's okay to cry, you know.
This is fucking embarrassing.
No. I cry 6 times a day, just so you know.
Yeah, you know, it's been a rough few weeks, and like, you know, just trying to contain it and really find ways to educate myself, learning, unlearning, sharing, everything in between. And, you know, Sandra, you don't have social media, so do you feel like, I mean, I'm sure you learn in other ways, but like, is James sharing information with you through that as well?
Hold on, I can answer this.
Okay.
She don't need Instagram.
That's right.
And the main reason for that is.
That's right.
The main reason for that is Reddit. Like Reddit is actually a very good source of information, and like sometimes I'll share stuff with her, and she's like, "I already saw that on Reddit." Like, hey, I'm sorry, Dad. Why didn't you tell me? Like,
yeah.
Reddit and Twitter is where I get, you know, my things.
Oh, so you do have Twitter?
Yeah, I have a Twitter.
Okay.
Oh, you have Twitter.
We'll
okay.
You on there then. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have Twitter, but I'm not really active on Twitter to where I'm posting things. Got
it. Okay. But it's a source of information for you.
Yes, it's a source of information.
Yeah. And I just want to honor that moment. Like, absolutely, everything that's going on is super. It's tough, man. We're processing a lot of trauma. Like, again, it's okay for you to cry, Kim. Like, man, all of us are really going through it, and we're really dealing with this, especially if we come from communities where, you know, where we have people in our lives who are not from our same background, right? So there is a space where a lot of us are feeling this. Some of us more than others, absolutely. You know, I can say that for myself being Black, but absolutely, like, it's okay to process how you feel in this moment, you know?
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Shout out to Sean that's on this Zoom right now. He's somewhere floating around on this.
Yeah. So what we want to switch gears a little bit. We want to talk about the food. So can you guys give us, you know, let's talk about what we've been eating. What do you guys think? Did anything jump out to y'all? What are any of the dishes like your favorite?
Okay.
What do you like so far? What do you think of the roti, etc.?
So this tastes exactly like a pad see ew. It's like 10 times better. because one, I think it's the addition of the are these soybeans? No,
bean sprouts. Yeah, soybean sprouts.
Bean sprouts. Yes, the bean sprouts add like a nice like neutral like taste to it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really good. And I want to say the chives make a no difference on it too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
the Chinese chives are essential for the right sort of aroma, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the sweet, salty, everything because of the sweetness from the Chinese sausage, the aroma from the wok. But this is like, you know, wok fried in. A little bit of grain to make me feel healthy. Shout out to the chives. I threw in like hella red chili sauce, so it just looks red in there right now. Yeah, this is great. The roti was good. I really like that coconut turmeric action.
Yeah, roti was fire. Like,
yeah,
man, roti was fire. That was like at the top of my list when I saw your menu. I have to say the noodles. I love how the heat, it doesn't hit you right away and it kind of creeps in.
Right.
Really good. I had the portion without the sausage because I don't eat pork, but yeah, that was fire.
Yeah, that's from dried chilies. So
Okay.
you know, you have to like take out the seeds from all the dried chilies, blend it into a paste, and also boil them. So it's like you get heat, but it's understated. It's like comes in later.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, the wok is essential. The wok, we call it wok hei in Cantonese, which is, you know, the fire of the wok, the breath of the wok.
It makes a difference because like that extra aroma really like adds to the umami of it all.
So also this was, you know, this noodle dish that we ordered from you is actually featured in the film as well too.
Yes, yeah, it's the dish that Allie's cooking.
It's on the poster too, right?
No, on the poster, it's actually the rice.
Oh, that's the rice. Oh, okay.
The ill-fated rice.
That Lakeith pushed over because he was just trying to get his.
Yep, exactly.
Yes.
So, man, we want to thank you. Did you guys have anything else y'all want to say about the food? I mean, again, thank you, Samantha.
You're welcome.
No, it was just really good.
Yeah.
I was starving before we even started this. So.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I did share with them that I took a bite of each thing prior because I was so hungry and I was like, I just need to fuel myself to get through the night. So yeah.
I'm so glad you guys are loving it, and I love that, you know, you guys are in K-Town too. James and Sandra, I love it. Where are you? Oh wait, maybe don't publicly say where you are. We can DM each other later.
Like, we're gonna stop by your your place for sure and eat more of it. It's so delicious.
Awesome. I'm so glad you like it. It was, and by the way, this is the apartment where Allie was shot too. This is like the actual apartment. And so, yeah, so the real kitchen's over there and the food was made over there. All the action happened.
You go over the dessert. What is going on with this? How do I eat this?
Oh, the dessert.
Oh,
right.
My God. Oh, we got to move on to the dessert.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah, I'm gonna go grab mine while I was doing that.
So let me open it.
You're gonna open it. It's not gonna look like much on a Zoom call, I think, but because it's in like a plastic tub. But so the dessert is called Sago Gula Melaka, which is my favorite dessert of all time. It is a Malaysian tapioca pearl pudding. So it's like little sago pearls, which is basically tapioca pearls. And then they're boiled, you know, you chill them. So it's like I would say great close-up. They're like glossy, and then they're fragranced with pandan leaf, which if you don't know what pandan leaf is, it's a Southeast Asian green leaf that's super fragrant. And then that's the coconut palm sugar. It's Malaccan palm sugar from a state in Malaysia called Malacca. So the brown thing is, it comes in a block. I actually smuggle that from Malaysia in a suitcase. Like my suitcase are
real Malaccan. Okay.
Real Malaccan palm sugar. It comes in little blocks and then you have to melt it down and stuff. So that's Malaccan palm sugar over there. And the white thing is coconut milk. So you drizzle both of those onto the tapioca pearl pudding. And then you just eat it. It's kind of like a cold half, you know, rice pudding meets creme caramel meets like a
just dump it over
jelly. Yeah, just dump it over.
Just pour it on. Do we pour both on at the same time?
Put both on, yeah. Put both on, and then you can break it up with your spoon and just spoon it into your mouth. And if you're worried it's too sweet, you can always just put half the sugar first and then taste
Okay. I just do a little bit at a time. Let me ease myself in.
it.
Oh my God.
I'm so sorry to everyone watching. We're just taunting you.
I know.
Yeah,
Sorry, y'all. I should have said to bring a snack.
this is what mine looks like since I have everything on.
Oh, beautiful. Yes, yes. You can use a spoon. You don't have to use a fork. You can use a spoon to like really, really shovel
To
it.
get it, yeah.
Okay.
Love it.
Oh
Is it
yeah.
food?
Oh my God. It's like
Oh.
you said
Wow.
sago.
Sago or sago. Some people say sago.
Okay. I feel like I have this elsewhere, but like I love how like how thick it is. Like look at that. Oh my God.
Yeah, so when you cook it, the pearls are like, you buy it in a bag and it's like dried white pearls and they're all separate. They're like little balls. And then you cook it in hot water and then it turns translucent. And then when it cools down, so some people put it in little like bowls or molds or whatever. You can shape it however you want. I just put it in a container. Yeah, and then
so it is very gelatin-like, right? When
it turns translucent, it turns glossy.
Jordan is a fool. Jordan from Inside Land said we love food that can twerk. So I'm giving y'all a little bit.
It twerks. Oh my God, I'm gonna put that on the product description. I'm gonna be like, Sago is the pudding that twerks.
Yeah, this is bomb. Yeah, I really like the coconut aspect to it.
And
Right,
the whole thing's vegan actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's even better. That's what's up. Because one of the hosts is a fake vegan, so.
Me.
Fake vegan. Me.
I love vegan food, but I also love everything else. So it's like a little bit of both.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Yeah.
You love food in general. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right, so I want to switch gears a little bit and let's get some couple talk going. How was y'all first date? Like, what happened?
Our first date, he picked me up at my dorm. He brought me flowers. Never had that happen before. I was like, wow, that's really old.
Okay.
He brought me flowers.
Come through,
on our
James.
first date,
That's
right?
what's up. On some gentlemen, you know what I mean? That's what's up.
I had a roommate who was a little bit jealous. She was just like, he only brought you flowers to get your flowers. And I was like, yeah, we went to Yard House where he.
What did y'all order? Do you remember?
Huh?
I said, what did y'all order? Do you remember?
Oh, I do. I don't remember what dish we ordered, but I do remember I got a strawberry beer, and I remember you got the sampler.
Okay. Yeah. I guess. Hey, if she says it, it's true.
That's right. Good answer. Good answer.
Okay.
But I remember he talked about eating dogs on our first date.
What?
Do you eat
What do you
dogs?
mean he talked about that?
Do you eat dogs?
So that, I mean, just to tell you, I don't know if you can tell, like, I have a little, like, jokester kind of personality in me.
Okay.
But, yeah, I went to Korea when I graduated high school, and I was out with my brother and a cousin of mine in Korea, and as a joke, I said, like, hey, let's, try it since we're out here, and he actually took us. But yeah, it's actually one of my favorite things to do when I meet somebody new, especially when they have a dog, is to talk about it.
not eat dog, talk about dog. Which I'm just like, James, maybe we should cool it on the eating dog jokes because people love their dogs here in America. And
I mean, I wouldn't, like, honestly, I wouldn't do it again. Like, it's kind of like a once in a time life experience for me. Yeah, I don't know. I just had to, like, I was just so nervous and like I just didn't know what the fuck to talk about. Like,
you were trying to make her laugh, basically.
Yeah.
And then, like, I kind of just like went to this like place where it's like, okay, go to your training. Like, what have you done in the past? And, like,
I immediately think
So
of that.
did it work out then?
how do I
Did that work for you?
And it's like, oh, I know how to lighten the mood. Talk about how you ate dogs in Korea.
Oh my
So,
God.
I don't know. It worked, I guess. You know, she still.
I mean, you guys have made it this far, so I think it did somewhat work, right?
So wait, yeah, I was just about to say, Sandra. So, what was you? Were you nervous? Were you?
Oh yeah, I was so nervous. I mean, just the same thoughts, like, what do we talk about, and what if I'm boring, and or what if I don't look, cute or something like that. It was just a bunch of things running through my mind at the time.
So, another question that we have is about like how you guys function in each other's community. You talked about being in Koreatown, but like James, like, do you know the electric slide? Like, are you are you having to learn all the black shit? You know what I mean? Like,
Yo, Wiz, like you're getting me on this because of last time. Or what?
No,
You hitting the
I'm
wobble like
joking.
Andrew? Like, what you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're talking about. Like everyone like knows how to wobble and stuff. I don't like. I didn't like.
Honestly, we have a confession. James and I both can't dance, and it's just embarrassing. Like,
Get out of here. Are you serious?
It's this stereotype that all black women can dance or something. Like, I can definitely like two-step, like, whatever. But like,
This is
like,
my place right
yeah,
here.
that's what we do.
Oh, you can do little two-step?
Yep, and then sometimes with a little twist, I do a little twist.
Okay, well, okay.
What 50 Cent taught me, and that's.
I tried to fix. It's not my fault. I tried to fix it when you were gone, but it didn't work. Because go.
What was that?
Oh, somebody's mic is on.
Yeah.
Keep going. Dude, like a foot.
Okay.
You're good.
All right.
So after that date, who made the first move? Like first kiss? Like who kind of like leaned in? Who kind of like, took dominance?
I don't remember really.
I remember our first other thing though.
Okay.
If you want to share it, by all means. It's an open
moment.
platform.
Was it in a kitchen?
Okay, I gotta share something though.
Hold up, what you have to share?
I think a really important thing that like is part of us is washing each other. So I remember after our first time, like we went into a shower and then like, and then I was like, hey, like let me wash you. And then it was like I don't know, it was kind of like, she was kind of like weird, like taken back, but then like, for Asians, like we go to like saunas a lot, and then like my dad used to like wash me and stuff, and like I was just like washing her, and like I don't know, that kind of like deepened our bond a lot. I remember her telling me that like 2 years later. I was like, yeah, when you washed me, it was like so weird, but I fucking loved it. I was like,
yeah.
So a question
That's beautiful.
Yeah. Go ahead, Kim.
No, sorry. I'm just like in awe because, that's another form of intimacy that you don't hear about, I'm just about to cry again.
It's okay. We feel you.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Go ahead, y'all.
Kim is my sensitive Virgo co-host. So
I'm not that sensitive, just today.
But go ahead. Were you gonna ask a question, Kim?
Oh no, go ahead.
Yeah. So one of the questions I had is, were there things that you guys or that your partner understood about your culture? Was there anything your partner understood about your culture that surprised you? Right. So was there something that James already knew, Sandra, or James, was there something Sandra already knew?
One thing I have told him before, like when it's Sunday and it's wash day for my hair,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm coming out the shower with big old dookie braids all around my head, and or I got my bonnet on. He's never said anything, which I was always expecting him to kind of say something like, why do you have to have that bonnet on? Or why do you have, you know, and he's just always been just like, okay, got her bonnet on. Like, he kind of doesn't care. And I feel like that's something part of Black culture that he kind of already knew and accepted.
Okay.
Yeah. No, but I mean, I have my parents ran a liquor store down in Watts, and people who come by the liquor store are interesting. So, I mean, the bonnet thing wasn't a new thing to me. I guess one thing though, like I don't know too much about like Black hair and everything. Like, she usually wears her hair natural, and it's been natural like since I met her. So like, yeah. I mean, there's a couple wigs in the house, but like it's not her go-to thing. And like, yeah.
Okay.
For me though, does she know?
Yes,
anything?
silk
Yeah,
pillowcase.
Silk.
I put James on to silk pillowcase.
Yeah, that's why my hair is all healthy and silky and nice. I don't think she knew a goddamn thing about Koreans. Like,
I really didn't.
she didn't even know Korean people existed before meeting me. But yeah, she's been, you know, coming from the culture that she's coming from, like, yeah, she's been very open-minded and like, you know, yeah.
Okay, cool. We have a
doesn't put up with disrespect though.
okay.
Who wears the pants in the relationship?
Yeah, I wear the pants.
Yeah.
I feel like I wear the pants on, I was thinking about this. I feel I wear the pants on short-term decisions. And James will wear the pants on any long-term decisions. I'm not sure if that completely makes sense.
Yeah, that's a fair answer.
Yeah, that's a good answer. What are your zodiac signs?
I'm a Libra.
I'm a Cancer.
Okay.
What does that mean, Wiz?
You know what? I'm trying to. I mean, Cancers are hella emotional, and Libras. You guys have great taste, but you guys care a lot about what other people think.
Yeah.
Kat Reyes over at Inside Lands is asking, what made you guys attracted to each other in the beginning? I guess what was like the first impression of each other, you guys, your first impressions of each other?
Oh, she was just fine as hell. Like, she was the finest one in the jazz class. Like, I was like, yo. I mean, so like, I'm not like a big dude. I'm like 5'11", 150, 160 pounds. And like, yeah. And then like, I see her, she's a little petite, little tiny little thing.
Okay, that's right.
Like, you know, I had to play my game, my little like seating game, and you know, come to the party like all like suave and like, hey, I seen you from across the room.
Sandra, what did you think of him?
Yeah, I first noticed James in class 2. I really remember the first time I actually noticed him. He came into the class and he was wearing a suit, but like he had his skateboard. So he was skateboarding.
Best of both worlds.
Yeah, he was just skateboarding through campus with his suit on. And I think he came into class late and he's like, oh, sorry, I was at like a fraternity meeting or some shit like that. And I was just like, he looked really fine. Like, I don't know what it was about him. And, you know, his suit and his skateboard, something about best of both worlds. I really liked him. And he's hilarious. He's always, you know, making me laugh. And, you know, from our very first encounter with each other and actually talking, he's always he's so goofy.
Yeah.
So
do you guys have any advice? Oh.
Yeah, go ahead. No, I was just saying he was business radical. He wasn't business casual.
Yeah, business radical. Yeah.
I was going to ask if you guys have like any advice for those who may not have dated outside their race before, or I guess specifically Black or Korean people that they may be attracted to but don't know how to approach them. Is there any tips, advice, dance moves, or whatever you guys have to offer them that may be listening?
So as we kind of our relationship grew. We read some things online. I think Issa Rae even may have put this in her book. She said something kind of controversial in it, but like she was saying that Black women and Asian men should try and connect more with each other, just because there's like this
Marginalized. We're both marginalized.
yeah, we're both marginalized. And I would say, like, you know, our best advice to like a Black woman wanting to date an Asian man, or Asian man dating, you know, a Black woman, or just, you know, vice versa, is to, you know, learn about each other's culture, you know, respect the cultures and try new things. But ultimately, like, you know, you're still more than your culture. I definitely feel like sometimes your culture is gonna try and break you guys apart a little bit. You know, you're gonna feel discouraged, you know, from being with one another. But I would definitely say, you know, keep trying, you know, and just be happy every day with that person.
I gotta say, I don't know, like dating interracial is definitely different, but you're dating a girl, like you're gonna get the same like craziness from
So we're crazy
a Black
now.
woman, from an Asian woman, from a white woman. Like, they're all crazy, y'all. But you know, like
you
I
gonna
call
get
it
yourself
passionate, but that's okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're gonna get yourself in trouble, James.
But yeah, like I don't know. I just look at her as another woman, and like, you know, you're living with somebody and you're finding a partner that you can communicate with, that you can talk to, and like honestly have fun. Like, yeah, if she stops laughing at my jokes, like that's when it's done. Yeah. And
Word, okay.
yeah, pro tip: talk about your dog eating experience your first date.
Or what not to do.
Yeah, or what not, exactly.
Or not talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you guys for that advice. Especially, you know, sharing your experience. You know, we created this pod like as a platform for folks who are in, you know, couples like yours, who are in relationships like yours, basically. And we always feel like there is a lot of chatter around interracial relationships, but it's good to have the people who are actually in the situation be able to share what their experiences are. You know, like right now, like there's a lot of talk about race. There's a lot of talk about privilege. And interracial relationships is definitely, it's one of the unique situations where if you come from a community that has, you know, less privilege than a certain race or a certain ethnicity, you can still, you know, that you can still be criticized for it. You know what I mean? You can still be criticized either by your own community, you can be criticized by, you know, your partner's community. And it actually ends up, you actually have to have a strong relationship, right? Because it can be very isolating, whether it's your own community or it's your partner's community as well. So we definitely appreciate you guys sharing that part of your relationship with us.
Yeah, thanks for having us. I mean, this provided a platform for us to like express, you know, our relationship like to the world, and like there's not a lot of places where, you know, that are really willing to listen. And
yeah, and Sam, I really felt that I could relate to you and, you know, what you're doing and your film. I couldn't figure out who to talk to about problems we were having in our relationship regarding race. So I actually wrote, you know, some things too. I wrote a pilot script. It's just been an outlet for me to, you know, get things off my chest and like really think about stuff, and it's been fun.
Yeah.
Awesome. Very cool.
Yeah, Kim, did you have other questions you wanted to ask? I know we have our ending question always, but I wanted to make sure we got out as many of the questions that we had as possible and gave, you know, James and Sandra a chance to say whatever, you know, whatever else they want to say.
Yeah, no, I just really appreciate you guys. Again, you know, thanks for dealing with me and my little current session too. But you know, I just love hearing different stories, different perspectives, different age groups, because you know, it's your story helps someone else. You know, whether they do relate, don't relate, it's always a learning opportunity for those tuning in. And yeah, just really thankful that you guys are sharing your truths and just the time spent with us. I know we're all quarantined and getting a little like crazy, but like stir crazy, but yeah, just appreciating the time you guys made for us.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys. And we also want to say thank you to Sam as well. Thank you so much for sharing your film with us. I think there was some chatter about folks on Twitch having a watch party for it. I saw that in the chat. So yeah. So
that's cool. Make sure your parents aren't there.
Yeah, make sure your parents are not
children.
There. Yeah. Right. And then also, you guys, please check out her film on Prime. It's really great. Look forward to seeing it as a television show as well too.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Can you please cast me as like an extra? Can I be like, I'm just gonna be sitting there eating the sago, just like.
If somebody on here can get it made, you know, you're all extras in it. No. I'm totally with you guys on, you know, the importance of storytelling, diverse storytelling, you know, definitely making Ali, like you said, Sandra, it's cheaper than therapy, you know, to go and like write something so you can at least get it out and explore it and figure it out. And more people should write, but also, yeah, you know, I think a lot of the racism we see and all of that is because people don't see enough stories that portray people of color as just full human beings, you know, full human beings who are exactly like you, have the same universal goals. They want to be loved, they want to be seen, they want to achieve things, you know, they're funny, they're flawed, and we just gotta keep on telling stories that show how human we are, because in the end we're all the same in the end.
Absolutely. Thank you. So one's in the chat for that. And again, you know, it's been part of, you know, Kim and I's mission to like have this podcast to be able to share people's stories. Something that Sam touched on is a lot of times when there are interracial couples portrayed in narratives, like it is a person of color and a white person. And, you know, we both grew up in the Bay Area and grew up with interracial relationships being a part of our lives, whether we were in them or we witnessed someone else. And for us, it's not always that case, right? So we really feel that it should be portrayed in a more diverse light. And particularly, you know, with the narratives for Asian men and for Black women, you know, I feel like in the dating industrial complex, those are two profiles that are really marginalized, you know, whether they're dating their own races or not, right? So like, it's time for people to be able to see themselves, especially if they are in relationships like the ones you are in, James and Sandra. So thank you guys. So wait, before we get out of here, we have our last question we usually end on. Kim, did you want to ask it?
Oh yeah, James and Sandra, do you guys have like a couple name, like a celebrity couple name that you guys go by?
Oh, we have, not really. Sometimes we'll say sames.
Okay.
Okay.
Same.
Yeah. Sames.
Yeah. But
We got
did
another
just
visitor in
create
the background.
Hi, Kat.
handshake.
Oh yeah, we officially got our handshake. I was wondering when that was gonna come in.
What's the handshake?
Okay.
Can we see?
Okay.
Can we see the
Yeah,
handshake?
sample.
It is super visible.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so like the
I
Fresh
love it.
Princess. I'm like trying to do
Actually,
my best.
actually, when we're doing it, we slide and it's this. It's our two fingers doing this.
It's coming off. I'm learning Korean, and I just learned this word called chokum, and it stands for little. And I don't know why I just love that word so much, because it sounds like chokum.
Oh,
like,
what you into?
And so we're just going like this, just like little.
Okay. Okay.
That's what's up.
Yeah, it's so
You guys are so cute. Oh my gosh.
I love it.
Real couple shit. I love it. Okay. Well, we want to thank everybody at Inside Lands for having us. Thank you, James and Sandra.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you guys.
Kim, thank you, co-host.
Wiz is a G. He basically did most of this. Full disclosure, he basically handled most of this. So.
No, honestly, I also want to thank
Wiz and Kim.
Woo!
I can't take all the credit. I want to shout out Kim as well too. You know, she's a mastermind behind, you know, making, you know, this idea. She was the person who had the inception for having this podcast as well. And also she had a history with Kat too. So I want to give it up to Kat, because Kat really put the battery in our back to participate. So again, everybody, Inside Lands is a great platform. They do this every day. This is episode or night 93.
Yeah.
Right? 93 till infinity. You know what I'm saying? So I love the fact that they opened this space up for everyone during quarantine. I really applaud you guys for providing this for us. So thank you guys very much. And
Yeah.
Kim, you want to say anything?
Oh yeah, no, just follow our Instagram, our Twitter. You can find us on Anchor. Our Instagram is at GWCTD.
Yes,
and then our Twitter is at _GWCTD. Guess who came to dinner?
Actually, remember, you know, Inside Lands runs they put out the Venmo for support, so any donations would be appreciated. Also, please, if you guys like what you heard today, if you like hearing James and Sandra's story, if you like being introduced to a cool creator and filmmaker like Samantha, or just talking about interracial relationships as they exist, please subscribe to our podcast. We are on all platforms right now, so just search Guess Who Came to Dinner, and you guys will see the plate, the two different plates. One has Mexican food, one has like I think it's it's either a wet burrito or a tamale.
We have sushi, ain't it?
And then we have sushi on the other side, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, please go subscribe, hit the subscribe button. Give us some reviews if you guys can as well too. And we just want to say thank you guys a whole lot for joining us.
And we also are accepting submissions if you guys are in an interracial relationship and want to share your story. We would love to hear from you. We can. I'll also add the form on the chat so then people can see.
Yeah. So we have a form for anyone who wants to fill out the form, and then also if you guys know any parents that had to evolve around their ideas of their, you know, their kids or their children or whatever, son or daughter being in an interracial relationship, we would love to speak to them as well too, because we have some episodes coming up that features parents who you know, had to change their mind or change their experience or came to a new understanding about interracial relationships.
Yeah, for my mom, it's gonna be like 5 more years.
Okay, Kim.
That I think is it. Sorry, I'm trying to find the link right now. I don't know. All of a sudden, my computer wants to act up.
All right, so Kim is going to drop the form in the chat for anybody who actually wants to fill out the form and participate. And if you know anyone actually who you think would be a good, a good couple to be featured on Guess Who Came to Dinner. So look out for more podcasts and more episodes in the future. Look out for more restaurants. We'll be profiling restaurants and also profiling other folks who are chefs like Sam. All right, y'all.
Hey,
Thanks everyone. Really appreciate it. Stay safe.
Thank you guys very
healthy.
much. Yeah.
Awesome.
Take care of yourselves. Stay safe and healthy.
All right.
All right, y'all. Peace.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you, Inside Lands.